So my name's Brandon. Brandon, okay, I'm gonna start over. Do I say my last name? My name is Brandon Wood, and we're back here in the Innovation Lab. And one thing that we hear on almost a daily basis is, I've got this cool project and I want to 3D print it. The way that printers appear and the way they're marketed, that sounds like a great idea. You know, as long as you have a 3D model, as long as it fits in the printer, you know, we're all set and we'll just 3D print it. The reality is there's a lot of work that goes into first getting a 3D model that's printable, but then engineering something to be printed so that it can come out the other side as a finished product. So for a project in Osage, Iowa, we were asked to create a 7-foot-long SR-71 Blackbird replica. And so here are kind of all the steps that went into making that thing a reality. So first we had to actually find the model we were going to use to print. There wasn't the right model out there for us to use, and so we actually found some blueprints of this jet and created a SolidWorks model with those prints. SolidWorks program is what we do all of our engineering in. So making the model in SolidWorks allowed us to hand it over to our engineering department so that they could think about, you know, how is this thing going to be held together internally? There needs to be an aluminum frame, there needs to be mounting points to hang it from the ceiling. They have to be able to work with the model to embed all of those things and plan out how they're going to be assembled and how they're going to fit together. From there, we had to decide what is the smallest level of detail that we're actually going to try and print versus what are we going to do with decals or stickers. So the engineers sent us a test 3D print of, like, here are 3 stripes that we're thinking about modeling into this. One is a 16-inch wide, one is an 1/8 inch wide. Which one of these prints the best? And so we did a series of test prints to determine, okay, 1/8 of an inch is the smallest we can go to actually print this out. They were able to detail the rest of the plane with that as their standard. We had to go through a series of checks with the designer to make sure the object as a whole looked correct after engineering was finished. And then at that point, okay, like now we have everything that we can actually use to start printing with. So in this case, we did have to cut this plane into sections to actually print it. Even though we have a massive printer up in the shop that can print something 20 feet long, the fact that its beads are so chunky, it's not the right printer to use for this application. The right printer is a smaller FDM style printer, and so that's the one we're going to use, and its limitations are build size. And so, you know, we have to cut this plane up into chunks based on that build volume. So we have our files, and we're finally to the just print it part of the process. In this case, worked with an outside vendor to print the chunks called Big Rep. Big Rep makes giant 3D printers, but they also have a printing service. So we use them to actually print these chunks. They arrive here at our shop as chunks, and the just printed part's done. So now the hard work begins of reassembling all of these pieces onto their metal frame. A ton of hand work to sand out all of the layer lines, getting it ready for paint, getting the vinyl decals prepared kind of in parallel. You know, they're working on all these graphics, deciding where they're going to go to make the plane look real once it's done. So once everything's finally painted and dried, then we can actually apply all the graphics and really see it come to life as a finished object. So if you think about that entire process, the just print it part is just this little bit here in the middle, and we have to make sure that we're thinking about these other 2 ends of all of the file preparation that goes into getting ready to just print it, and then all of the finish work that needs to happen to actually make it something that we're happy to install and put out in the world. Sometimes 3D printing is exactly the right tool to use to complete a project. We just try to be very realistic about what it takes to do it correctly, to create printed objects that have high quality, high finish, and that are going to last for years out in public. If you've got something in mind, you know, we love printing, let us know, and we'd love to talk about it and tell you how we could help.